Do you have a business that serves your local community? Are you trying to take your business to the next level? Do you struggle to understand your business numbers? Well, stop working harder thinking you're going to make more money. That's not how it works. Each week, we go over how to understand and leverage your business numbers to not only create more sales, but more importantly, how to create more profits. Remember, it isn't about how much you sell. It's about how much you keep at the end of the day. My name is Tammy, and I'm on a mission to help badass business owners like yourself put more money in your pocket. So whether you're a badass or a badass in the making, let's get this party started. Hey, badass business owners, welcome back to the show. Today we are going to talk about your business and it growing from infancy into a bigger business. Listen, folks, if you have not been listening over the last couple of episodes, we've been really doing a deep dive into the EMyth by Michael Gerber and really taking some of those concepts and putting some meat around them to help you in your business. And if you're interested, if you like what you hear today, go back, listen to the last couple of episodes and make sure you hit subscribe for the ones coming up. Like I said, today I really want to talk about what he goes through in chapters 3 and 4 and 5, I think, which is where he talks about, you know, our businesses and kind of when we jump into it and where it goes and some of the crossroads that we come to. And, you know, for example, when we started our business, we talked a little bit about this the other day, is we typically start our business because we're inspired by something. We want to get rid of our boss. We want to create a business to pass down. We want to earn more money. We saw a need. We wanted to fill it. You know, we're good. Everybody kept telling us to start a business. There was all kinds of different reasons why we got into doing our business. And what we did is we just jumped right in. We jumped right in. And, you know, some of you guys took a little bit more time to kind of put it together and decide if this was the right business. And you might have started off getting your toe wet and jumping in a little bit. And then one day you made the full-time leap to doing it. But at the end of the day, you thought, oh, this is going to be a piece of cake and, you know, I'm going to make all kinds of money and I'm going to make more money than I did before and I don't have to deal with some boss. And guess what? That's not quite what happened, is it? For some of you, you might still be in that, what they call the emphasis stage, where you still believe all of that stuff and that everything is rosy and everything is great. But here's the thing, it doesn't stay like that. You're going to run into some roadblocks, you know, just like growing up, just like in life, you know, crap happens. Things are going to be thrown your way. Things are going to happen, and it's how you deal with it. And just like kids, you know, our role as adults, as older individuals who've been there, done that, got that t-shirt, is how do we help the other folks navigate those waters so that they become nice, healthy adults. So same thing with your business. What we want to do is we want to help you go from the beginning stages of your business to becoming nice, healthy businesses later on. And what needs to happen in order for you to do that. Because here's the thing. Your business is going to have different things that happen. It's going to have different needs at different times. And you have to be willing to make the sacrifices to help that business grow. And you have to commit to doing what it takes to do that. And what it takes is not for you to work harder. It's not for you to dive in and do more of it. Your commitment to your baby, if you will, to your business, is sometimes you got to pull yourself out of that to be able to do that. Because if you don't, it's unfair to your customers. It's unfair to any employees that you might have. And it's definitely unfair to your family because, you know, you can't be everything to everybody if you're the one that is always in the trenches and always doing things and you never are able to work on the business to make it a better business. Okay. You know, one of the things that Michael Gerber talks about is the fact that most businesses are operated according to what the owner wants as opposed to what the business needs. And that is so true. It's what I want. It's what I want. And it's not necessarily what your business is screaming. Your business is behind you screaming, I need this, I need this, I need this. And we're like, no, you don't. Shut up, business. You don't know what you need. Kind of like what we do with our kids, right? Kid tells you what they need. We're like, no, you don't. I'm an adult. I know what you need more than you know what you need. You know, so you get into that same battle. You're going to have the same battle with your business. And unfortunately, it dooms the business. And because the business doesn't need a great technician. A business needs a manager and an entrepreneur as well. We talked about this in the last episode. It needs all three of you. It needs the technicians, it needs the manager, and it needs the entrepreneur in order for it to grow. But what happens is early on, you start building that business, you're just in that technician phase, just like we talked about, and it becomes overwhelming. And without you, there is no business, right? If you were to take a day off, if you were to take a vacation, the business stops because you are the business. You are everything about that business. Now, that may not change depending upon what kind of business you want to go, but you can make it to where you created a business that allows you to take a day off, that you've created a business that allows you to take a week off if you want to do it. All right. Because in the emphasis stage, you're learning how to be a business owner, and you go into it with all these great ideas, but yet at the same time, as the business is growing, the business is getting bigger. You've got to change. You can't keep doing the same thing you were doing at the beginning stages of your business. It's got more needs. It needs more things. When the baby starts to grow, the baby starts to get bigger, it needs more things from you, right? The diaper, for example, catches when the baby's got to go. But when you get to the point where the baby's walking around and you need to potty train that baby, guess what? It could go tinkle and do its thing without you in the diaper. But now you're chasing the kid all over the house trying to get them to learn how to use the potty. It takes a lot more energy, a lot more work to teach that kid how to go to the bathroom, right? Same thing with your business. It's going to take more from you to be able to do that. You're going to have to do more things. But what happens is, as your business starts growing, you start juggling more and more balls. And then pretty soon you have so many balls you're trying to juggle and keep going, things start falling through the cracks. And when things start falling through the cracks, you start working harder and harder trying to keep those balls running. And it only gets worse because those balls keep coming at you. And this is where most business owners cave. And at this point, when they're juggling so many balls and they're working so many hours, something's got to give. Something's got to give. So either the business falls apart, the owner falls apart, they walk away, they burn out, they say, I can't do this. And that's when they walk away. And by the way, even as you get older and as your business goes from infancy to adolescence, one of the things that he talks about is the fact that you make that same decision again later on. Because once you hire somebody, you hire someone to help you out, right? Maybe you hire another technician, so this way you can pull yourself out of the business a little bit. Maybe you hire someone to do your books. Maybe you hire that crew manager, that shift leader. And what happens is you've got some relief. You're like, oh my God, this feels so good. I've got someone to help me. I've got someone who's part of my vision now that's helping me do it. Well, guess what? You bring them aboard. They help out. You give them more and more duties, if you will, within the business. You start to pull back a little bit. You can breathe a little bit, and the business continues to grow. And you think, oh my God, everything is great. Well, then guess what happens? The business grows. You kind of stepped away from their roles because they're doing it for you. And next thing you know, you're at the same thing. The balls start juggling again. You start getting customer complaints. You start, the quality starts to go down. Something happens. And pretty soon you're like, oh my God, what happened when I wasn't looking? And you end up having to juggle all these balls again. And guess what? You start taking it all. Instead of fixing the problem, instead of putting your manager hat on, and instead of you addressing what went wrong, what happens? You dive right in. Nobody knows your business like you do. Nobody can fix it like you do. So you jump right back into the business again, and you start picking up the slack. You start making everything good again and whatnot. And guess what? You're right back to where you were in infancy because you're doing it all. And the problem was you should not have been the one that jumped right in. Now, I'm not saying there's not a season you have to do that. I'm not saying you absolutely have to. I mean, there's times in businesses, even when I was with Home Depot, where I had to jump right in and I had to actually help get things back on track. But here's the key. The true manager and the true leader and entrepreneur knows when to get right back out. It's a temporary stop to fix it, stop the bleeding, and then say, okay, I need to step back now and I need to put in place more than just the Band-Aids I put on. Now I need to put in the processes and the systems to be able to prevent this from happening again. Once again, it's like a staircase, okay? Your business you're going to have some flat where everything's going good, crap's going to hit the wall. You're going to grow because you're going to put the right processes in place, and then you're going to go up another step. And then you're going to kind of breathe for a minute because you're on the flat part. And then guess what? Your business is going to make you have to dive in and make some more changes and tweaks, and you're going to go up again. That's what your business is all about. There is never going to be a time in your business that it is smooth sailing. All right. If you do, it's going to last a short period of time because you're going to hit something. You're going to hit a wall. It's just like life. Right? Isn't that how life goes? We go through this period of where life is good, life is amazing, life is great, and then crap happens. right? And when crap happens, we're like, I can't believe this is happening to me, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is, you know what? You take care of it. You put your big boy and girl panties on and underwear and you go make it happen and you fix it and life gets good again. And then till the next crisis comes up, because that's life. That's what life's all about. It's like, have you ever had a conversation with a teenager who just thinks the world's ending and life is terrible and it's never good and crap never stops happening and oh my God, my life. And you just want to laugh at them thinking, do you think this really goes away? No, this is life to the day you die. It's how you handle it. It's how you tackle the problems and the things that come up that make a difference. Your business is no different. You're always going to have something, but it's how you handle it. You can't keep jumping in and taking over and putting on the technician hat. You just can't do it. Okay? You have to be the one that, in order to take your business from infancy to adolescence and onto the next level, is you've got to get in there and you've got to put the right processes in place to be able to do that. All right? You can't keep another mistake, now that I'm thinking about another mistake that I see people do when they start bringing on people or having other individuals in their business is they just assume they're doing it. Okay. And I touched a little bit on this, but they're like, oh, I don't have to follow up on these people. They're good. I don't need to, everything's good. And I can go work on this, or I can take my mind off of it. Now, you have to have your finger in a little bit of everything. I'm not saying you need to get knee deep in it, but you have to be in it enough to where they know you're watching. All right. They know that you're looking and you're following up, that you're going to make random phone calls to customers to ask them how it went and what kind of service that they got, that you're going to show up on a job site sometimes unexpectedly and follow up on the job that they're doing. They need to know that you have not abdicated your role of being over this company, that it's your company. Now, as you get bigger and bigger and bigger, obviously you can't do that for everyone, but I'm telling you, you can spot check anything and it keeps people on their toes. It keeps them on their toes and it keeps you on the pulse of what's going on in your business. So this way you find a problem long before it becomes a raging fire. You can put out the smaller fires because you're knee deep in them and you go see them and you're able to make that difference. All right. So, the biggest thing, I guess, from the stage is just know your business is going to go through these levels and these changes. And what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to be the person that feels like you have to jump in and solve it and save it every single time. Because it's going to happen. There are people right now listening that I know that's what you're doing in your business. You've hired some people, maybe they haven't been the greatest, or maybe they haven't been trained properly, whatever the case may be, or they've just let you down, or you thought you hired the wrong people. And your first instinct is to jump in and save the day. You can't keep doing that. I'm not saying you don't do it for a week or two to be able to get things back on the course, but you have to really ask yourself, step back and put that leadership hat on, that manager hat, that entrepreneur hat, and ask yourself what went wrong? What could I have done differently? How could I have made things have a different outcome? How did I fail these customers? How did I fail these employees? How did I create this problem? Instead of the opposite of being the victim, because I'm not going to let you guys be the victim. Okay. I want you control your destiny. You control who works for you, who doesn't work for you. You control the people you bring aboard. You control how you train them, how you don't train them. You control the level of service you expect and you hold people accountable to. You control everything. You are not a victim, and you are definitely not a victim when it comes to people screwing up in your business. All right. It sucks when they do, but you are not a victim. And if you have the victim mentality at all in your business, you need to get rid of that, because that is not going to serve you well. And that is not going to help you, because that is not what is going on. All right. You need to stay in touch. You need to stay engaged in what's going on in your business, and you need to check on people, and you need to make sure that they're doing the way that they should do it. Because that's one of the mistakes that people make, is they don't do that. You need to know when to step in and when to back out. You need to know when to work on processes and put them in place. And that's what you need to do. All right. Now, before I go, I want to talk about one more thing. And in the book, he talks about beyond the comfort zone. And one of the ways that you grow your business at all times is you're going to be pushing your comfort zone, and you're going to be pushing your comfort zone quite a bit. And sometimes a business stalls because they are in their comfort zone and they don't want to be uncomfortable. They don't want to push it. They don't want to, they don't grow, or they don't change things because it's going to be uncomfortable. And if that's the kind of business, then go at it, but I can tell you that you're not listening to this podcast because that's what you want. That's not why you're reading books, listening to other podcasts, or talking to other people. That's why I don't believe any of you are that way. So you're constantly pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone. Now, when a business grows beyond its comfort zone, something has to change, right? If you're uncomfortable, you got to make something change. You got to do something different in order to become a little bit more comfortable. And what happens is what we were talking about earlier. Sometimes people will get small again. Sometimes when a business grows so big, or the people become unmanageable, or the whole business becomes unmanageable. Like I said, they jump right back in what we just talked about. But what they do is they get small again, and it becomes so chaotic to them that they got to figure out the only way that they can control the chaos is to get rid of all of the chaos. And the best way to get rid of all the chaos is just to get rid of all of it. Okay, get rid of all the employees. Have you ever uttered these words? Life was so much simpler when it was just me. Yeah. So what happens is, instead of pushing through that comfort zone and that chaos and figuring out better processes, people go backwards and they just get rid of all of it and they get small again. They just go back to when it was just them running the business, when things were much more comfortable. Guess what? You didn't like that either. You weren't making the money. And are you settling? Because sometimes that's exactly what it is. They're like, you know what? I'm going to go back to when I just made $35,000, $40,000, because at least I didn't have any of this chaos to deal with and everything else. Now, your personality may be one where that's the right thing for you, because there are some people that, you know what, they just don't do well when it comes to all of that craziness going on, in which case they're perfectly okay with owning a job. And if your goal is to just own a job and have the best darn job that you could possibly own, go for it. I'm not going to put you down in any way, shape, or form. That is exactly where some people are meant to be. And that's not a knock on them. It's just, you know what? They're still fantastic. They've still built an amazing business of happiness, owning their own job. That's great. But for the majority of you, that's not where you want to go. So our goal is, how do we get you past that? How do we get you to go to that next level? Well, some people will go for what Michael Gerber calls going for broke. And this is where they just, they thrive in the chaos and they don't know how to control it. But my Lord, they love running into it. Think of like a tornado chaser. Okay. They just love running into the hurricane. They love running into the storm. And they love the chaos and they go after it. Well, the problem is, these are people that become a victim of their own success. You've heard me say that before, that they just continue to create sales and create more business for themselves and everything else. But what's going to happen is those balls are going to start falling. And what's going to happen is, when you stop dropping balls and you start letting things fall through the crack, you start ticking off your customers, you start ticking off any employees you have working for you. And pretty soon the business is going to break, because it can't keep doing that. Because it happens slowly, by the way. When you're running into all that crap and you're on the adrenaline run and everything else, well, and people are just like looking at you going, one, you're a fool. And then people go, wow, their service isn't quite where it used to be. Oh, their quality isn't quite where it used to be. And what happens is, it slowly starts killing your business. You don't notice it right away. But what happens is, one day you wake up and you're like, wow, I'm not growing. You still have a good business because you're still doing the same sales you did the year before, but you're not growing like you used to grow. So sometimes people who do that don't even realize their business is broke, because they're still making a decent income. But what they haven't done is taken the time to slow down and check and see that growth has stopped. And where could they have been over the last year had they not done that? Okay? Had they not done that. So you see, going into survival mode and going into getting small again, or going for broke, both don't change anything. Okay, they both will create different ways of approaching the problem, but they're going to have the same outcome in some cases. And if anything, the person going for broke is actually going to probably destroy their business more so than the person that got small again. Okay, the reality is, you can't keep working harder to solve your problems. And because all that does is it breaks your spirit. All right. When you work harder and harder and harder just to survive, it breaks your spirit. There comes this tipping point where all of a sudden your spirit is busted and you wake up and you don't want to go to work. You don't want to go do this. Your baby is no longer fun. And even as a parent, by the way, there's times when you wonder, did I do the right thing having kids? Like when you wake up at 2, 3 in the morning and you're tired and they're screaming. or you want to go do something and you realize you can't because you got little Tommy or Timmy to take with you. Okay. I'm not saying as a parent, you're like, yeah, you wouldn't trade them and no, you're not going to go do something different with them. But you do have these split moments where you feel like a bad parent because they're tying you down for some reason or another, or they're keeping you up because they're sick or whatever the case may be. Well, your business is no different. It's not going to be a picnic all the dang time. But when your business becomes something that you absolutely regret ever doing because you never have any life, that's when you're doing it wrong. Okay. It's not that you have a bad business. It's just the way you're doing business is what has become wrong. So part of what this whole pushing your comfort zone, you need to push your comfort zone, but you need to push through that and you need to put in the processes and the things that you need to do to come out the other end. So just to wrap up this section, once again, if you're new to the podcast and you haven't been listening to the last few episodes, we're actually taking the EMyth and some of the concepts out of the book and just diving in a little bit more into them. So in this particular section, just to recap, you've heard a lot of themes of us talking about your business as your baby and growing it and helping it go from infancy to adolescence and to working its way into adulthood. And the fact that you've got to help guide it. You can't be the one that jumps into it to save the day, and you can't revert backwards. You know what? When you're pushed, you've got to be the person that does it. So hopefully that all makes sense and you got a little nugget out of today's episode, and we'll talk to you on the next episode. I don't know if the next episode is going to be more of the book or if I will have something in between. I don't know yet. So we'll see. But with that, I want to thank you for listening. And if you are interested in the EMyth Revisited, just check out the show notes. There is a link for you to go get it for $11. You cannot beat that. And like I said, just 10, 15 minutes every single morning. Just read 10, 15 minutes, take a highlighter, sit down, take a concept in, think about it, marinate on it, and see how it can help you grow your business. Remember, folks, this is all about the whole reason for doing this is how do we help you run a business that doesn't consume you to where you run a business that doesn't own you, and how do we help you run a business that you actually make some good money at? Not just employee money, but employee money plus business owner money. That's ultimately what this is all about. So hopefully you will continue to stay with us, and I will talk to you on the next episode. Bye for now. Hey, badass business owners, before you go, just one thing. If you ever feel like you're alone and you would love to be with a like-minded group of individuals, head on over to our Badass Local Small Business Owner Facebook page. We have no spamming, no advertising, anything like that. Just your questions, mine, and we just kind of help each other out, grow our businesses, and share knowledge. You can feel free to know that you're in a safe place and ask your questions of people that are actually going to care about you. So once again, head on over to Facebook. It's the Badass Local Small Business Owner page. You can also hit the show notes and it's right there. Once again, it's going to be stuff and people out there that care about you and helping you grow your business.